There are moments in life when the veil between heaven and earth feels so thin, you could almost reach out and touch it. When the ordinary cracks open and something extraordinary pours in. This isn't just a story about a statue. It's a story about a heart that broke, a heart that hardened, and the gentle, unstoppable force that healed them both. A miracle story of the Virgin Mary. It begins in a quiet suburb of Phoenix, Arizona, under that vast, unblinking desert sky. A place where the earth is baked terracotta and the sunsets are paintings of fire. And in a small, well-kept garden on Cypress Lane, there stood, and still stands, a statue of Our Lady. She's not grand or ornate. She's made of simple concrete, her paint softened by years of sun and monsoon rain. At her feet, always, were fresh desert flowers, marigolds sometimes, or the brave little petals of a bougainvillea that clung to the fence. And every single evening, as the desert heat bled away into purple twilight, you would see a woman named Anna sitting on a small bench beside it. But before we go any further, I need you to do something for me. Pause right now. Type "hope" in the comments and tell me what city you're watching from. Let's create a chain of faith across the globe. From Manila to Mumbai, from Lagos to Lima, from Phoenix to Paris. Let's show each other we are not alone in our belief. Anna was a retired nurse, a widow of 7 years. Her husband, Leo, had been her anchor, her laughter, her quiet companion. They'd planted this garden together. When Leo passed, the silence in the house was a sound all its own, a heavy, echoing thing. One day, Anna brought the statue home from a little roadside shrine. She placed it right where she and Leo used to have their evening tea. She didn't say any grand prayers over it at first. She just sat. And in that sitting, her heart began to speak what her lips could not. The statue became her touchstone. It was where she prayed her rosary, not with showy devotion, but with the weary, persistent faith of someone who has known deep love and profound loss. She talked to Mary as if she were right there, a compassionate mother listening in the gloom. "Holy Mary, Mother of God," she'd whisper, "pray for me, a sinner now and at the hour of my death. And please, tell Leo the first miss him. Help me get through today." It was a silent gesture of devotion, a thread of love connecting her to her husband, to heaven, to a hope that grief had not completely extinguished. Now, directly next door to Anna lived a woman named Elaine. Where Anna's garden was a gentle, slightly wild testament to love and memory, Elaine's yard was a masterpiece of control. Impeccably manicured Bermuda grass, cactus arranged by height and color, not a single leaf out of place. Elaine was a retired property manager, a woman who believed in rules, boundaries, and the supreme authority of the Homeowners Association handbook. She valued order, logic, and a very specific, uncluttered aesthetic. Faith to Elaine was a private matter, best kept behind closed doors, if it was to be kept at all. The Virgin Mary statue, from the moment it appeared, was a thorn in Elaine's side. Started with looks, disapproving glances over the fence. Then came the friendly suggestions. "Anna dear," Elaine said one day, leaning over the pristine white fence, "have you thought that the statue might lower the property values? All that religious imagery. It's a bit personal for the front garden, don't you think? What if it makes potential buyers uncomfortable?" Anna just smiled softly, her hands covered in soil from planting. "Oh, Elaine," she said, "she's not hurting anyone. She's a comfort." But Elaine was not comforted. She began to document. She took pictures from different angles, noting how the shadow of the statue fell across her perfectly raked gravel path for 20 minutes each afternoon. She started talking to other neighbors, voicing her concerns in careful, reasonable tones. "It's about consistency," she'd say. "If she can have a statue, then the Johnsons could put up a giant plastic flamingo, and where would we be? It's a slippery slope." She filed a formal complaint with the HOA, citing a vaguely worded clause about structures and ornaments requiring prior approval for aesthetic harmony. The letter arrived at Anna's door. Notice of violation. The words swam before her eyes. She was instructed to remove the unauthorized religious structure within 30 days or face escalating fines. Anna's heart, already tender with memory, felt like it was being squeezed. This wasn't just about a piece of concrete. This was about her nightly conversation with Leo. This was about the motherly presence that had gotten her through the loneliest nights. She cried that evening, sitting on her bench, looking up at Mary's peaceful face. "What do I do?" she whispered. "I can't fight. I don't have the energy for a war." And then a feeling, not a voice but a deep, settling certainty, came over her. It was a sense that said, "Be still. Be kind. Pray." So Anna did something that defied all human logic. She decided not to fight back with lawyers or angry letters. Instead, she prayed for Elaine. She added a special decade of the rosary for her. "Hail Mary, full of grace. Pray for Elaine today. Help her find peace. Soften her heart." She baked an extra batch of lemon poppy seed muffins, Leo's favorite, and brought them over to Elaine with the same gentle smile. Elaine took the muffins with a stiff "thank you," eyeing Anna with confusion. The kindness seemed to confuse her more than anger would have. The battle lines were blurring. Anna also went to the HOA meeting. She didn't argue. She simply stood up, her hands trembling slightly, and told them about Leo, about the silence, about how the statue wasn't a protest or a statement, but a lifeline. "She reminds me to be loving," Anna said, her voice cracking only once. "She reminds me that even in grief we are not alone." A few neighbors were moved, but the rule was the rule. They granted a temporary extension, but the ultimatum remained. Eventually it would have to go. Elaine considered this a victory of common sense. But something peculiar began to happen to her. She'd find herself looking at the statue. In the early morning, when she went out to water her pristine plants, she'd catch sight of it. The way the first light hit Mary's downcast eyes made them seem almost alive, filled with a sorrow that was also sweet. She tried to dismiss it. "It's just a statue," she'd mutter to herself. "Sentimental nonsense." But Anna's unwavering kindness was a puzzle she couldn't solve. Why wasn't she angry? Why was she still smiling? Then the unthinkable happened. It was a blisteringly hot afternoon. Elaine was washing her windows, her mind buzzing with 100 tasks. A sudden searing pain shot through her chest and down her left arm. It was so intense it stole her breath. She stumbled back from the window, knocking over a watering can, and collapsed onto her perfectly curated lawn. The sky above was a brutal, cloudless blue. She couldn't move, couldn't call out. Panic, cold and sheer, flooded her. "This is it," she thought. "I'm going to die here alone on my grass." And in that moment of pure animal terror, her eyes, against her will it seemed, locked onto the only thing she could see from where she lay, the face of the Virgin Mary statue over the fence. The sun was behind it, creating a kind of halo around the figure. Elaine, a woman of no faith, in her ultimate moment of fear, did something instinctive. From a place deeper than reason, a guttural, silent cry erupted within her. "Help me." It wasn't a prayer. It was a raw, human plea of desperation. And as she stared, fixated, something shifted. The statue's face. It didn't move, of course it didn't move. But the expression seemed to change. The sorrow she'd seen before transformed into something else. A profound, encompassing compassion, a look of such pure, maternal concern that it pierced through Elaine's terror. A warmth, completely separate from the desert sun, seemed to flow from that gaze into her frozen body. At that exact moment, Anna, who had felt a strange, urgent compulsion to go check on her roses right now, came out her back door. She saw Elaine lying there, motionless. The nurse in her snapped into action. She was over the low fence in an instant, kneeling beside her neighbor, calling 911. Her fingers on Elaine's wrist finding a weak, rapid pulse. The ambulance arrived, whisking Elaine away. The doctors later said it was a severe myocardial infarction, a major heart attack. They said her survival, alone in that heat, was statistically unlikely. "Someone was watching over you," one of the EMTs said casually. Elaine spent a week in the hospital. Anna visited every single day. She brought no lectures, no "I told you so." She brought flowers from her own garden and sat in silence when Elaine was too tired to talk. The wall of certainty Elaine had built around her life was lying in rubble. The rational explanations, coincidence, hallucination from pain, the adrenaline of fear, they all rang hollow. That look of compassion, that warmth. It had felt more real than the 4 in her arm. It had saved her. One afternoon, as Anna was fluffing her pillows, Elaine, staring at the sterile hospital ceiling, spoke, her voice barely a whisper. "Anna, when I was on the ground, I saw your statue." Anna paused, her hands still. She said nothing, just waited. I asked for help," Elaine confessed, tears welling in her eyes for the first time since the ordeal began. "And it felt like she heard me." Anna took Elaine's hand, the way she used to hold the hands of her dying patients, offering not a cure, but companionship in the struggle. "Of course she heard you, Elaine," Anna said, her voice thick with emotion. "She's a mother. She hears all her children, especially when they're scared." The transformation that began in that hospital room was slow, humble, and beautiful. Elaine came home a different woman. The first thing she did, leaning on a walker, was to ask Anna if she could sit with her by the statue. They sat together in the twilight, the two of them. Anna prayed her rosary aloud, and Elaine, hesitantly, began to join in on the Holy Mary, Mother of God. She stumbled over the words, but her heart was in them. The HOA violation letter was forgotten, lost in a drawer. Elaine actually went to the next meeting and, with a new, quiet authority, argued that the statue was a neighborhood treasure that added spiritual value. The complaint was dropped permanently. But the real miracle wasn't the saved statue. The miracle was the saved heart. Elaine's perfectly ordered garden underwent a change. In one corner, near the fence where she had fallen, she planted a small rose bush. "A mystery rose," the tag said. "A place of beauty born from a moment of terror." She and Anna started a little book club, just the two of them, reading about saints and faith. Elaine began attending Mass with Anna, not out of obligation, but with the hungry curiosity of a seeker. The woman who had complained about a symbol of love had been utterly undone by an experience of that love itself. The story ends on an evening 1 year later. The camera of our minds pans back to that same garden. Two women, one in her late 70s, one in her early 70s, sit on the bench together. The desert air is cool. The statue of Mary stands serenely before them, bathed in the soft glow of a lantern Anna has hung. They are praying the glorious mysteries. Their voices, one steady and gentle, one still a bit hesitant but fervent, weave together in the quiet dark. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Two hearts, one broken and mended by memory, one broken open and filled by grace, both now held in the same gentle maternal embrace. A silent gesture of devotion had become a beacon. A complaint had become a cry for help. And a miracle, a quiet, personal, undeniable miracle of presence and love, had woven them together into a tapestry of hope. This is how the miracles of the Virgin Mary happen in our days. Not always with celestial lights or spinning suns, but in the gritty, ordinary soil of human conflict, fear, and loneliness. She comes as a mother, turning our complaints into prayers, our enemies into friends, and our darkest moments into doorways for her light. This story is a creative dramatization, inspired by countless true testimonies of faith and devotion to Mary, Mother of Jesus. It is spiritual, reflective, and made to inspire. If it touched your heart, then my next requests are simple but powerful. First, become part of our family here. If you're feeling inspired, please take a second to subscribe to this channel and ring that notification bell. By subscribing, you're not just watching a video. You're becoming part of a community that believes in the power of hope, the reality of miracles, and the love of Our Lady. You won't miss our next journey into life's deepest mysteries. Second, let your voice be a testimony. The comment section isn't just for names and cities. I want to hear your story. Write in the comments about a miracle, big or small, that you have witnessed or experienced. A healing, a coincidence that felt like providence, a moment of peace in a storm, an answered prayer. Share it. Your story could be the spark of hope for someone else watching who is in their own season of doubt or pain. Third, pass on the grace. Share this video with someone who needs it today. Share it with a friend who is grieving, the family member who is struggling, or even the skeptic who needs to see that faith isn't about superstition, but about transformative love. Be an instrument of that love. And finally, for a deeper connection, Handshake, we have created a WhatsApp channel and a Telegram channel to build a strong, supportive community where we can share prayers, intentions, and daily inspirations under Virgin Mary's blessing. Latin Cross. The links are in the description below. Join us. Let's walk this path of faith together, supporting one another in prayer. We live in a world that often feels divided, hardened, full of walls like Elaine's perfect fence. But the story of Anna and Elaine reminds us that no heart is beyond the reach of a mother's love. That a simple Hail Mary can be a seismic force of change. That miracles are not just events in the past. They are happening now, in gardens, in hospitals, in quiet hearts turning back to the light. So keep praying. Keep hoping. Keep your eyes open to the gentle miracles unfolding around you. And never ever underestimate the power of a mother's intercession. Thank you for watching. Thank you for believing. May Our Lady wrap you in her mantle of love and peace, today and always. God bless you. And until next time, keep your heart open to miracles.